Hey guys, welcome back to Toops Time. I'm Cody.
And I'm Jessie. And you're joining us in our garden today. We're going to be planting our first fall garden in our Back to Eden garden here on the homestead.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, it is still hot here in Arkansas. It is September 16th, but we're going to go ahead and try. Most fall planting vegetables are cool season vegetables, so we're hoping that the cooler temperatures that we are at least getting in the morning will be able to accommodate these plants and we won't lose them. We're going to be direct sowing some seeds, and we're also going to be planting a few starts. So follow along on our journey today. Guys, hold up. Before we can show you what we've been planting for the fall, let's show you exactly how much work it took to take down our summer garden to start fall planting. So we actually took out all of our tomatoes, as you can see in this video. It was a lot of work. We took them out. They did still have some green tomatoes on them, but sometimes you just have to let things go, and they were starting to be way more work than they were giving us any fruit. One of the most upsetting things to tear down, just because it was so pretty, was our gorgeous cucumber vines that we had there here this summer. We just loved having them. They did amazing. They were by far our favorite plant that we had that produced so well. We took it all down. We left this watermelon vine for a little while because it was still producing, but we did just pick our last watermelon, so it's about to come down as well. As you can see, guys, we actually are leaving our pepper plants for now. They still have fruit all over them. So we're gonna give them some time. And we're actually considering trying to keep them as possibly a perennial plant for next year. So we're gonna stake them up and try and keep them, and we'll kind of document that process for you, because I've read online where some other people have done that, and they've even had pepper plants that have lasted 9 or 10 years, which most people just plant them every year. But how nice would that be to just already have your peppers come up every year? We're also keeping our raspberry plants. They are actually producing a second harvest, which is great because we didn't get a very good spring harvest due to that late frost that we had. So we're excited to see that, but these are perennials as well, so we will be keeping them. So while we're talking about raspberries, I might as well snack on one. It's for the baby, right? The last thing that we took out of here just a few days ago was our sweet potato vines. We're gonna do a whole separate video on how the harvest turned out from them. As you can see, I still need to put these piles of their vines in the compost, but we're trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna plant in this bed to replenish our soil. So now that I have shown you exactly what we tore down, let me show you what we started planting for the fall. Okay, so first up we have our tomato starts that we actually bought at a nursery, and it's kind of late to be planting tomato starts, to be honest, but we're gonna see what it does. Maybe we'll get some, who knows. But we're gonna plant something called Park's Whopper, and then also we're gonna be planting Super Sweet 100 tomato. They said at the nursery that they are a fall producing tomato plant, so we are gonna see how it goes. Alright, so we're actually going to put these tomatoes where our other tomatoes were during our summer garden, if you followed along on that tour. If not, you can click the link up there to see it. But yeah, we're going to put them right here, and hopefully they do just as good as those tomato plants did. Hey, let's dig right here. Yeah. This is where our other hole is going to be.
You want to dig way harder, sir?
Huh?
Dig it harder?
Yeah, here. And then I'll loosen it up and you can dig it. Can I use it? Here.
Alright, so the first 4 that we planted were those sweet ones, and now we're going to be planting these Park's Whoppers. These things are supposed to be really big. It's super easy. Ever since we started this Back to Eden method, basically you're just sweeping all these wood chips aside, and look how easy that is to dig in the soil.
Daddy!
I imagine after another year of sitting here, some of this is still clumpy because a lot of it's manure still that's not fully broken down. I imagine another year we'll be able to just dig all this out by hand. but still it's super easy, whereas before our soil was nothing but rock solid. We like to bury these nice and deep. I usually take the first couple stems off the bottom of each one. That way, the deeper you bury it, the more roots will end up coming out the sides of these tomatoes. And I also like to put it right up against the fence line, so as it's growing up, we can immediately start trellising. We don't add any fertilizer or anything like that as we're doing this, because this soil is already rich in fertilizer. What are you doing, baby?
Getting some of these seed pods before we chop this basil down.
What do you use those for?
Where we don't have to buy seeds.
Seed pods? Seed pods?
Pods, seed pods.
Flower! 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 Flower!
That's a beautiful flower, buddy. Up next, we're planting all of our lettuces. We do have a few starts. This here is kale and then Swiss chard. Most of the lettuces we are direct sowing from seed, but we're going to plant these starts as well. We're planting it in the bed that used to be during our summer garden. It was our potato bed that, if you follow our videos, you saw that we harvested earlier in the year, and we noticed that our potato yield wasn't very high. We're thinking that we may have a little too much nitrogen in our soil, and so we're hoping that by putting the lettuce here that it can help amend the soil and take some of that nitrogen out, because lettuces actually love more nitrogen. And so we're going to be planting it right here in this bed. So me and Asher are about to plant our cauliflower and broccoli. We're gonna plant it in the same bed as the lettuce. So it's gonna have lettuce down here and then the broccoli and cauliflower. We've never planted any of those, and so it'll be kind of an experiment for us. And it's kind of neat because we bought those starts from the nursery, and they gave us the broccoli starts because they don't look so good. So maybe we can bring them back to life with this mulch gardening.
Alright, so down on the end we have our broccoli and cauliflower. Here in the middle we're going to be planting more lettuce, but those are going to all be from seed. And then down here we have our Swiss chard and our kale and our sun.
Man, it is hot out here. Thank God we have finished sowing all of our starts that we had, and now we are going to plant the seed packets that we are planting. We're just going to plant a little Swiss chard seed to be able to compare it from the starts. We're also going to plant sugar snap pea seeds all along where our trellises are, and hopefully we can get a good harvest of those this year. And then we got a bunch of different lettuces we're going to be planting in this middle section here, as well as arugula and spinach.
So one common misconception about the back to Eden style gardening or mulch gardening is that you literally just drop some seeds into the mulch. That's not the case. You want your seeds to actually be in the soil. So as you can see here, I've actually pulled back mulch out of the way to make some rows. Now, whenever your mulch is not fully broken down and you started off with 10 inches of mulch, you make some pretty big piles of mulch as you're pulling it back. In a couple of years, once the stuff starts to break down, it should only be a couple of inches that you're pulling back rather than the, mostly 6 inches that you see here. But you have to pull that mulch back, and then you have to follow the instructions for the specific seed that you're planting, and basically take your shovel and just rake you a little row to drop your seeds in, and then cover it back up with that thin, typically around ½ layer of soil. So that's actually how you do this. And don't think for a minute that the seeds are just going to just start sprouting out of, not finely chopped up mulch. So
Alright guys, so just like we direct sowed those lettuce seeds, we also have direct sowed sugar snap pea seeds, and we're hoping that it makes this trellis just look as beautiful as it did in the summer. So we planted them all along here, and this was like about 10 days ago. I'm sorry guys, we weren't able to get footage of that. My little boy was around and we had to do it really fast. But as you can see, they've already germinated, several of them here. So, mentioning this trellis, we actually did leave our bean plants, because if you follow our channel and you saw our summer garden tour, they really were suffering and didn't do well and haven't produced a harvest all year. But we noticed as the cooler temperatures started coming in that they started producing. So we left them, and as you can see in the footage, there is several beans all over these. So we're gonna try and get a little bit of a harvest. So at least we still have a little green on the trellis, making it look pretty. Not a good one.
Can you show Daddy?
Show Daddy. Show him how you eat it.
What is that?
See, this is black.
Are you gonna eat it? Oh, yummy!
Since it has been about 10 days since we direct sowed those lettuce seeds that you saw earlier in the video, I do want to show you that they actually have germinated. And so we're already seeing sprouts, which we're excited to see, because in the summer, if you followed along when we were planting, we didn't direct sow anything because our mulch was so thick. We were a little nervous about it. So I'm excited to see how well some of these direct sowed seedlings do compared to ones that we had to start inside. Well, there you have it, guys. We have finished planting for the fall. We didn't plant a whole lot of vegetables, but this is our first year doing a fall garden and this back to Eden style garden, and we're excited to share our journey with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content. We will be giving you a tour in about a month from now to show you exactly what it's looking like. God bless you.
God bless.